In a secluded palace within the African savanna, Princess Amina lived a life bound by tradition. Her father, the wise king, forbade her from leaving the palace, fearing the dangers beyond. But curiosity tugged at Amina's heart, yearning for the world outside her gilded cage. One day, she overheard tales of a vibrant village festival, igniting a spark within her. Determined to experience it herself, Amina disguised herself as a maiden and slipped into the night. The festival was a kaleidoscope of joy, where Amina danced freely for the first time. Amidst the revelry, she met Kofi, a charming stranger who captured her heart. But their encounter turned tragic as Kofi collapsed suddenly, leaving Amina in shock. In a quaint village in the African savanna, Princess Amina, a beautiful and cherished daughter of a wise king, lived. Princess Amina grew up within the palace walls, never venturing outside, as her father instilled a deep sense of responsibility to their traditions. The king insisted that Princess Amina never leave the palace grounds, cautioning her about the dangers beyond. Princess Amina often wondered why she was confined, questioning the mysteries that lay beyond the palace walls. Though curious, Princess Amina always respected her father's wishes and adhered to their customs. Amina, feeling a sense of duty to her family's honor, contemplates her life within the palace. Her longing to explore the world beyond the palace walls grows stronger with each passing year. She imagines the adventures that await her outside the confines of her home. One day, Amina overhears maidens discussing the village festival, sparking her curiosity. Excitement bubbled over in her heart as she listened to tales of joy, music, and dance. What would it feel like to be part of such a celebration, she wondered, her heart racing with longing. In that moment, she made a bold decision. She would attend the festival, even if it meant going against her father's wishes. That evening, she donned a simple outfit that resembled the attire of the palace maidens, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. With careful steps, she slipped out of the palace unnoticed, following the laughter and music echoing through the village. The vibrant colors of the festival greeted her as she crossed the threshold from the palace into the world she had only dreamed of. The village square was alive with energy. A kaleidoscope of colors, sounds, and scents enveloped her. People danced joyfully, their movements a celebration of life itself. Amina felt an overwhelming sense of freedom wash over her, and she joined in the jubilation, spinning and twirling, laughing with abandon. At that moment, she was no longer a princess confined to four walls. She was just Amina, a girl embracing the spirit of the festival. In the midst of this joyful chaos, she bumped into a strikingly handsome young man named Kofi. He smiled warmly at her and asked, "Are you new to the village? I've never seen you before." Amina felt her heart flutter as she prepared to respond, but suddenly, Kofi clutched his throat, gasping for breath. Amina's world turned upside down as she watched in horror as he collapsed to the ground, lifeless. Panic gripped her. She knew she needed to return to the palace before anyone discovered her absence. As she hurried back, her mind raced with confusion. By morning, the tragic news of Kofi's mysterious death spread throughout the village, reaching the ears of the king. Rumors began to swirl, claiming he had met his end at the hands of a witch disguised as a palace maiden. The village buzzed with whispers, and the king called for an emergency meeting with his advisors to discuss this grave matter. The palace maidens were questioned relentlessly about Kofi's mysterious death. Despite hours of interrogation, none of the maidens admitted to any knowledge. In a fit of anger, the king declared all maidens would be sent into the forest of the ancestors. It was believed that the innocent would return unharmed from the forest, while the guilty would not survive. Amina listened in horror as her father issued the decree, her heart burdened with guilt. Amina felt responsible for the events that had unfolded, yet fear kept her from revealing her secret. Days passed, and the maidens returned from the forest unharmed. Amina experienced a mix of relief and dread, worried about her father's potential discovery of her secret. She locked herself in her room, overwhelmed by anxiety over her decisions. The following week, a palace maiden came to inform Amina. that the king requested her presence. Heart racing, she made her way to the throne room, fearing what her father might say. Upon entering, Amina found the king seated with a solemn expression, which only deepened her unease. "How are you holding up after all that's happened?" he asked with concern. The king, with a solemn expression, informed Amina it was time to choose a husband, someone deserving of her. Amina felt a rush of excitement at the thought of freedom, yet it was quickly eclipsed by the burden of her secret. Suitors from across the kingdom arrived, each eager to win Amina's hand in marriage. The townspeople were eager to catch a glimpse of the elusive princess they had only heard about. The day of the unveiling arrived, and Amina adorned herself in a stunning gown. She was nervous but excited, dreaming of what life would be like once she was married and free. However, as she entered the grand hall, the room fell eerily silent. When the eligible bachelors set their eyes upon her, they all suddenly collapsed, falling into a deep slumber. Chaos erupted as families rushed to carry their sons away, leaving Amina in a state of panic. Confused and terrified, she fled the hall, locking herself in her room as dread consumed her. Her father, desperate to understand the strange occurrences, sought counsel from the chief priest of the village. The priest revealed a shocking truth. Amina's actions had sparked the anger of the village ancestors. According to a sacred covenant, the first child of the king must never leave the palace until after their marriage. By breaking this rule, Amina had unwittingly bound herself in spirit to Kofi, the young man who had died. Devastated, the king turned to Amina, who was now shaking with fear. Amina realized she had inadvertently brought calamity upon her family. The chief priest explained that the spirits of the young men who had come to propose were trapped in a deep sleep. Amina was torn. She felt an immense weight on her shoulders. She pondered what she could do to rectify the situation. Days turned into weeks as Amina's father's health continued to decline. The chief priest warned Amina that she must appease her spirit husband to save her father. Desperate, Amina prayed and pleaded with Kofi's spirit to appear in her dreams. Nights turned into sleepless hours filled with worry, yet Kofi never appeared. As her father's condition worsened, Amina felt a sense of hopelessness washing over her. One night, she sat on her chamber floor, tears streaming down her face. "I have no other choice," she cried, feeling as if the weight of the world rested on her shoulders. Submerged in despair, she slipped into a deep sleep. In her dream, she found herself face to face with Kofi's spirit in the forest. He appeared before her, radiant and serene, yet his expression was one of sorrow. "Do not seek death, dear Amina," he whispered gently. "I wish to be alive as you do. Your life is precious. Do not take what you cannot give." Overcome with emotion, Amina begged Kofi for forgiveness, expressing her regret for the unintentional harm she had caused. Amina pleaded with Kofi's spirit to release her from their spirit marriage and to spare her father's life, as well as the lives of the other young men. Kofi's spirit, sensing her genuine remorse, smiled softly and granted her freedom. He declared Amina free from the bond, acknowledging her pure heart and the power of love transcending life and death. With his words, he vanished, leaving Amina with a sense of peace. Amina awoke with a newfound hope, rushing to her father's chamber with an urgency she had never felt before. To her astonishment, she found her father sitting up in bed, a relieved smile on his face. "Amina, you have returned. You have freed us all," he exclaimed. Joy filled her heart as she realized that the dark days were over. Princess Amina, having broken free from the spirit of Kofi, stands at the brink of a new adventure. The village rejoices as their beloved Princess Amina returns, marking a new beginning. Amina discovers her true love in a kind and noble prince from a nearby kingdom. Princess Amina, a symbol of compassion and wisdom, ruled with grace. Her story reminds us of the virtues of patience and the dangers of hasty decisions. True freedom, she learned, comes from within. With perseverance and understanding, she found her true path. Princess Amina, now a wise and beloved ruler, reflects on her journey with gratitude. Her reign brings prosperity and harmony to the village, celebrated by all its inhabitants.